Hello, welcome back to Tanner Style. I'm Oliver Tanner. We're here in beautiful, sunny Osawatomie, Kansas today, out on my property, and let's make something. Alright, so today we are going to take care of one of the requests. Actually, I have multiple requests for this. From before I started my channel, I put out a post on Facebook, asked some of my friends, hey, what would you like to see me put on my channel? And I have multiple requests for an old classic tin foil dinners. Now, I don't normally necessarily go with camp food or things like that for this channel. I wanted to take in all food, but we are cooking with a campfire, and so we're gonna go with tin foil dinners. But before we get into that, we have a word from our sponsor. This video, along with all of our videos, is sponsored by this car. When I'm not making videos, I'm usually driving Uber around the Kansas City area in this car. I put on about 1,500 miles a week in this bad boy, and it's a good car. If I've given you a ride, you've helped support this channel. I thank you for that. If you're in the Kansas City area, you need an Uber, it's late at night, early morning, I don't know, you might just get to ride in this here car. Thank you to this car for sponsoring this video. Maybe I'll see you around. We're gonna make tinfoil dinners. We're gonna make 3 different ways of tinfoil dinners. So we're gonna do some stuff that I'm more familiar with, and we're gonna do a little bit of an experiment. Okay, so we're gonna be doing, you know, the classic that I grew up with was ground beef, potatoes, onions, right? That was kind of the standard. For our second one, we're going to go with a chicken breast, okay? And with our chicken breast, we're gonna put some just regular potato. We're gonna dice that up, and we're gonna do a third one with some with a pork chop and some sweet potato. So we're going to peel up a sweet potato, and each one is going to have the same basic structure, and then each one is going to have a special additional vegetable, and you can use whatever vegetables you want, but we're going to add an additional vegetable to each one. So the pork chop, we're going to have some asparagus in there. The chicken, we're going to have some roasted and julienne peppers. We got a yellow bell pepper and an ancho, or I think it's a poblano pepper. And then the potato, we're just going to throw some broccoli in there with it. Let's get that prep on. so we finally finished our prep, did all of our mise en place. Let's get these tinfoil dinners put together. All right, so first thing we're gonna want, of course, is some tinfoil. Now, the tinfoil that I got some heavy duty aluminum foil. Now, before you put anything in your foil, one thing to make note of, foil has two sides. There's a shiny side and there's a dull side. The shiny side is shiny. That means it's reflective. Now, what that means is that when we put our food in here, all of the heat that's in there is actually going to be reflected back in towards the center. So we want the shiny side in. We want the shiny side to be where we put our food so that it reflects the heat back into the food and helps it to cook. It's going to cook a little bit better, a little bit faster like that. Let's get some gloves on because we're going to be handling some raw meat here. Let's get started with maybe our chicken breast. Okay, now for our chicken breast, we're going to be using our just regular russet potatoes, and you know, you can cut these to whatever size you want. Okay, again, you don't want any huge pieces mixed with a bunch of little tiny pieces because it's gonna really mess up your cooking time. And when you open it up, you're gonna have some that are really nicely cooked and others that are, you know, basically raw, and that's not pleasant for anybody. We want this to be a good, pleasant meal for you. All right, so we're gonna throw in some of that. We're gonna throw in some onions in there. And we can actually mix these together a little bit here, okay? And we're gonna mix in as well some of that garlic that I minced up, okay? So get that nice little mixture in there. Once we've got all that together, then we can go ahead, throw on our chicken breast. We got a whole chicken breast here. All right, so now we're pretty much done handling our raw meat. So I'm gonna go ahead, take off my gloves so that we can go on and start with actually seasoning. You know, we want to add some flavor to it. So let's put some salt, get it generously salted, and we'll get some salt in with everything else too, because salt is a flavor enhancer. So we'll get some pepper on there as well. For poultry, we're gonna use a little bit of some dry basil. Throw on a little bit of cayenne pepper because cayenne pepper makes everything better. All right, and I think that should do it for our chicken, except that we need to add our extra vegetables that we're gonna add to this. And you know what? I think we're just gonna dump these right on top. So tinfoil dinner, really not anything that requires a ton of precision, but we do want it to seal up really nicely, okay? So when we put this together, we don't necessarily want to just smash it together. We want to try and get some nice folds. We want to roll that down so that the foil seals up really nice. Same thing when we come to this end. We're going to roll it and try and push all the food in there out of the way so that we can get a nice even roll on it. Okay, and so now that we've got that, what we can do is we can actually take this whole thing and kind of shake it down so all the food settles down there. Come have a look in here, right? So we can see all that food settling down to one end. So we're going to be able to seal this up really nicely. But before we seal it up, there's one more thing that we want to add, and this is going to just take it over the top. What we have here is a little bit of white wine, and so we're just going to pour a little bit of that white wine down in there. Don't need a lot. Pour some of that white wine down in there, number one. And number two, we're going to take some butter. We're going to cut off a pretty good sized knob of butter, and we're just going to shove that sucker in there. Good, good, good. And now we're going to go ahead and seal this bad boy up. Now comes some of the most important part of the whole thing. So we've got this wrapped in a layer of foil, but if we put this in our fire just like this, that wine's gonna leak out, and the coals actually will burn right through this foil. We don't want that to happen. We want everything to get cooked, and then, you know, we're gonna have to pull it out too early. It's not gonna be cooked all the way. We want everything to cook really well. We want everything to stay inside. So we're gonna seal this up with some paper. And paper is actually just a really good insulator. We're gonna wrap it up with several layers of paper, and then we're gonna wrap it up with another layer of foil. So now for our foil on the outside, this I don't really care so much about. So I'm just using normal tin foil. We do want to try to keep the top, and you can kind of feel that seam going across there. So we're gonna just kind of fold in this foil, and this we can kind of crumple in a little bit more. So we're gonna do probably a couple little layers of foil. So this one we're just gonna try and manage that paper a little bit better. And if I was doing this at home, this would be a lot easier. This wind is really not making my life easier right now. It's also, you know, probably resulting in me using more foil than I normally would and really need to. So this is all contained. We have our chicken tin foil dinner. So the main thing to keep in mind as you're wrapping up your tinfoil dinner, that inside layer of foil, keep that package done up very nice and neat, very tight, okay? You want a few layers of paper on there, and that outer layer of foil, it really doesn't matter. It can be crumpled up, it can be whatever. It just needs to be holding everything together. That's the main thing, just hold it together, okay? So we're gonna get this in the fire after we make our next two. So we've kind of watched that process already. Well, I'm not going to show you the whole process for the next two, but I will show you some of the differences of how we're putting those two meals together so you can try it out yourself. Okay, so for our second one, this is the one where we're going to use our sweet potato, onion in there, throw in some garlic. We have a pork chop. Let's get some salt, get a little bit of pepper, a bit of smoked paprika, and we're gonna get just a little bit of some thyme on there as well. And really, I probably should have put the butter in a little bit sooner for the last one. Put our butter in 2 big knobs just right there on top. For this one, we are going to add some asparagus as that extra vegetable element. And I'm just going to wrap this up like I did the other one. Got everything in there. We're just going to dump the rest of that white wine in there. I know that there are going to be some people who watch who are concerned with the alcohol in the wine. When we put wine in these foil dinners, all the alcohol is I guarantee you all the alcohol is going to cook out. The alcohol content in wine is actually kind of high, right? And alcohol has a tendency to burn off or evaporate out very quickly. Actually, if you take some, I don't know, Everclear, some form of alcohol that's really high alcohol content, and you just leave it sitting out uncovered for a long time, there's a good chance that if you come back later, it may all be gone because the alcohol will literally just evaporate right out. Okay, so if you're cooking with wine, something like this, and you're worried about, oh my gosh, there's going to be alcohol in my food. No, there won't. It's all going to burn out. I guarantee it. I've been doing this for a while. It always cooks out. Unless you add like ridiculous, copious amounts of alcohol, in that case, it might not all cook out. But when we're adding small amounts like we're doing right now, it's really not a thing you even need to worry about. Now we're ready to do our last one. Now we are not putting down a bed of potatoes for this one, because this is the one, I told you there was one we were going to do a little bit of an experiment with, and we are. So let's just get our vegetables down first. Well, actually, first let's put in our ground beef. because I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to use our ground beef to help to manage all of this. Great thing about ground beef is you can shape it. And let's look at our experimental element, and it is mashed potato flakes. All right, we're just going to see how this works out. I mean, it should work out. There should be lots of water released from the onions and from the vegetables as it cooks. There should be water released from the ground beef as it cooks. In theory, everything should be wonderful here. So we've actually already seasoned the ground beef. So we're not going to add too much of this, but we will add some salt. We will add some pepper or broccoli up on top. And we're going to throw in some butter. Now, because we're doing dry potato flakes, I am thinking we're just going to do a little bit extra butter. Let's put a little bit more salt and pepper. Let's go ahead and we're going to close this one up. We've got everything in there, slid it all down to the end a little bit, and now we're going to go ahead. We're just going to add that red wine, and we're using red wine instead of white wine. Red wine generally works a little bit better with red meat. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to finish wrapping this up, and then I'm going to meet you back over by the fire where we're going to get these in. We're going to start them cooking so we can come back and try them and have some amazing tinfoil dinners. Now inside of here, this is all very hot. We're going to kind of spread around what we have in here. So we got our chicken. Ooh, that is hot in there. All right, we got our pork chop, our ground beef. So now we're going to take our coals, put them back on top. So we've got our food in there. It's cooking now. We're probably going to leave it in there to cook for, I don't know, maybe 30-35 minutes. And by that time, it should be plenty well cooked. This is kind of, you know, we have food that isn't necessarily separated, sort of together, sort of separated, right? But it's all in one container. It's enveloped by heat, right? And it's cooking right now. So we've just seen the basic elements of a casserole. That's basically what we made here. We made a casserole. Congratulations, you know how to make a casserole now without using a pan. It's really not super complicated stuff. I was making tinfoil dinners back when I was in Boy Scouts, going to campouts and stuff like that. For the record, yes, I was in Boy Scouts. No, I was never an Eagle Scout. My rank was, it was Boy Scout. Any casserole that you can think of, you can make any kind of casserole. You can put inside of tinfoil, cook it as a tinfoil dinner, and bada bing, bada boom, you got a little piece of home when you're out camping. There's no reason why when you go camping you have to eat crappy food or you know, really lame, bland food. So go ahead and experiment, and we're going to check back in just a minute for you. We're going to try out these tinfoil dinners. So let's check it out. Ooh, here, can you hear that? It is sizzling in there. Man, it is still hot over there. So while everything was cooking, we actually went ahead and we made a fourth tinfoil dinner. We just took all of our leftover vegetables, threw some herbs and spices in with them, mixed it all up, and wrapped it up in foil. And so, you know, we're not gonna show the tasting for this one, but if you're a vegetarian, vegan, whatever, you can still have good campfire, you know, tinfoil dinner. Got them all lined up here. We're gonna open them up. and see how it all looks. Oh my goodness, something is still burning in there. What? Still got a fire in there.
Oh.
Woo. Yeah, that was really still hot. Our paper's all burning away. And so, you know, this has never happened to me before. We're just gonna leave that for a minute and come over here and open up our first dinner. So we did scorch a little bit of our peppers. But dude, that looks good. That looks really good. Oh man. All right, so let's move on to, I know these are like unboxing videos, right? Only it's unfoiling. And you know, the truth is, you know, I talked about how these are basically casseroles, and they are. So if you wanted to make something like this for yourself at home, you know, put it in a casserole pan. If you really want to make a tinfoil dinner at home though, it'll still work. You should only need one layer of foil. All right, there's our pork chop in there, and our asparagus is very much cooked. And this one, you know, I'm excited to see if our mashed potato experiment worked out. And we like to try new things here on Tanner Style. And it looks like we have our cooked broccoli. And what? Check that out. We have freaking mashed potatoes cooked just like I thought it would. That's awesome. So let's go ahead and let's cut into this. It's all white. Looks like our chicken breast cooked perfectly. And so one quick thing to note. So I just stabbed our potato. It went in really nice and easily. So that is fully cooked. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna try this out. Yeah, I could eat that all day. That is so good. That is really good. And these peppers. Yeah, so we roasted the peppers and we peeled them ahead of time. And yeah, it works. Everything in here is freaking delicious. I can get a little bit of that wine, the flavor from the wine. There's no alcohol in here. Yeah, that's really good. And see, those potatoes, so they've soaked up the flavor from that wine. They've also soaked up a lot of the flavor from the chicken, because the chicken is going to lose a lot of water as it cooks, as all the vegetables will, right? And so all that water, all that liquid leached out of the vegetables, fell down to the bottom where we had all of our potatoes and our onions, which is why we put our potatoes and our onions on the bottom, and they just cooked and they just soaked all of that up. So all those potatoes, super flavorful. We're getting a little bit of that spiciness from the cayenne pepper that I put in there, right? Super good. Our pork chop. Alrighty. Alright, so let's just try the pork chop by itself real quick. Pork chop is really soft, really tender. The flavor is great. Let's go ahead and try some of our sweet potato mixture that we had down there. Let's get a little bit of asparagus there with it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And again, you know, same thing that happened with the chicken. Those sweet potatoes just soaked it all up. This is a really good combination here. All right, let's try out this last one. Now, some of our broccoli did get a little bit charred here, but you know what? It's all good. Broccoli is good with a little bit of char. I like it. So let's try it out. We got some onions. We got some, you can see some of that pinkness in there. That's the red wine in there, right? So we can see some of that red wine. We got that broccoli. We got those mashed potatoes. Dude, that is so good. Seriously. All right, Joe. I'll let you try it all. All right, go ahead. Try that. That's a big mouthful, but I know you can handle it. But how good is it? So now, out of all three, which one is your favorite?
That one.
Yeah, no kidding. This one is freaking so good. It's ridiculous. Thank you for joining us here on Tanner Style. Comment down below what you like in your tinfoil dinners. Tell me what your secrets are. Hey, I showed you mine. Now you show me yours. Okay? That's how this works. All right? So comment down below. Please like, share, subscribe. All of it helps. We really do appreciate it. We're trying to build something here, and we really love and appreciate all the help that we can get in that effort. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one.